Hi guys and welcome back to SwitchUp Gaming. Each month we give away a free game to the subscriber who is most active and engaged on the channel. 1979, the Revolution Black Friday, focuses on the horrific events that led to the Iranian uprising. It also highlights the irony of the West having this name for a shopping sale. The game looks right up my alley in terms of gameplay, with what appears to be a mixture of Broken Sword and a Telltale adventure. So is this a revolution in terms of gameplay? Or should this story have stayed in the past? Let's find out.
For every one they kill, we'll kill 100.
The story tells the tale of Reza Shirazi, an aspiring photographic journalist whose camera is his greatest weapon. The game opens in 1980 following his arrest, and the story unfolds through several chapters retelling the events that led up to the riots. The story is quite heavy-handed at times, with every single element of the game educating the viewer about aspects of the socio-political climate during the events taking place. It is interesting and I enjoy learning the Iranian regimes and events. Unfortunately, it's most definitely at the expense of actual enjoyment at times. This is more of an experience-based story, as you will see when we look at gameplay and graphics. Contrary to appearances, the tale is incredibly linear, being factually accurate as it is. I personally didn't feel enough groundwork was laid before the main events kicked off. It was very much a case of, well, that escalated fast. It was good that you were able to choose options to define the type of character you wanted to be, either becoming a passive onlooker or engaging in a more hands-on way. One of the main strengths of the game was the dialogue. Interaction between characters was excellent.
Something's never changed.
Ali! Ali, what are you doing here?
Let me look at you. Wow.
The portrayal of a family literally torn between the ruling regime and the benefits that came with it, while also striving for a free and fair Iranian rule, were excellently handled. You inevitably get swept up in events, but the result feels completely out of the hands of the player. For me, the educational aspects overshadowed the seemingly choice-based dialogue up until that point. Situations swing wildly from calm to manic, and it was in these times the experience felt most real, and it was nice to see actions throughout the game have an impact, albeit a slightly obvious one, on the end scenes. Once again, in parallel to real life, the story doesn't end conclusively, with a degree of ambiguity as to how it really ends, but that's for you to discover, and scores 17 out of 20. Gameplay takes a big back seat in my opinion. You control the character in a third person, pressing A to interact with the world. When looking at items of interest, another hit of the X button will take you to a screen which will flesh out the item or image with further facts and information. While this worked well, the gameplay felt more like I'd picked up a What Happened in the Iranian Revolution 1979 textbook, while interesting, not exactly engaging from a gameplay standpoint. Dialogue choices mark key moments in the story, however you are given an incredibly short time to choose these, often too short to even read all the choices. Again, this can be viewed as representative of the situation, but I found it annoying. The best comparison I can make are the Walking Dead games from Telltale in terms of how the game plays, only worse. Even down to the "that character will remember what you said" has been completely ripped off. You can die in the game in a few different ways. Firstly, if you choose the wrong dialogue option, this can lead to your death. Secondly, during QuickTime events you can also perish. These events are classic QuickTime. Press up here, tap the button to crawl across the ground. I wouldn't say it really added much to the experience though. The camera is the last gameplay mechanic and the one that just felt the most contrived for me. You walk about the environment and often feel the need to document the events taking place. Unfortunately, the control of the camera is just bad. Why they didn't add gyroscopic camera aiming is beyond me. Regardless, the timing-based focus system gets boring in about 3 photographs. I would have liked you to have manual focus and really frame the shots with zoom etc, and maybe a point-based system for capturing different elements in a single shot. Here, the lens just goes green when you're pointing at the exact thing you need to shoot. It boils down to randomly panning the camera all over the place, trying to find that last green circle that you need to take a picture of. The 3D sections were clunky, and the lack of a run button made them feel sluggish and dull. Add in some severe performance issues and gameplay suffers heavily. Gameplay scores 13 out of 20. It feels like a less fun, more factual Telltale experience that is saved by the story's delivery. They've tried to go for a simplistic Telltale style, However, those games have enough aesthetic charm as to reference the comic book nicely. Let's be honest, even they don't look amazing. Things start badly with performance in large areas being terrible. When a game's trying to show a massive crowd and how incredible it is for the people to come together in such a way, it loses much of its believability when said crowd resembles the audience of an early FIFA or Pro Evo game.
To save your film? This is incredible. This is the future of Iran. This is our future.
A clone army in both look and animation. This pulled me out of the immersion completely, and I ended up playing How Many Green Jumper Men Can I See? There are a few moments where the game looks passable, such as in the prison, but the overall takeaway was much less enthusiastic. When I can play Wolfenstein smoothly on my Switch, a game that looks like this should be running well. It's a shame that it doesn't, and it detracts from the overall experience. Combine lag with no run button and you have a recipe for frustration. Graphics score 8 out of 20.
My name is Asadullah Lajavardi. But here in heaven.
This is not the Iran you left a year ago. The people are angry, especially after Savak burned down the Cinema Rex.
Now this is an area of excellence, I'm glad to say. The game has an authentic sound palette that creates a believable atmosphere. Characters are all voiced well, with emotion and conflict acted excellently. Music from the region as well as a more impactful dramatic score underpin the on-screen events, and every aspect of the sound and music are solid. The developers made wise choices with music, poignant moments are delivered with appropriate sound and voice acting. Overall, audio scores 15 out of 20. The game currently costs £8.63 or $9.59 and will last around 2 to 3 hours max. This covers around 20 incredibly short chapters. It's set out to make people understand the events surrounding the Iranian Revolution and does so well enough. The anti-West, particularly American rhetoric of the time is well explained. With so many games available in the eShop, 2 to 3 hours of gameplay is too short in my opinion. You can pick up other adventures for a similar price. The value will lie in your personal love of history and experiential education, which this game does like few others. Value for me though scores 10 out of 20. The game does deliver on its premise, and I found the story both horrifying and engaging. It lost a huge chunk of its appeal due to performance and visual issues. These aside, for any fan of the genre, you may find some value here. Just don't expect to revisit this one once you've played through once. It scores a final SwitchUp score of 63%. Thanks so much for watching this review. I know it hasn't been the most light-hearted game to watch. As ever, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. See ya!